Dude, I wish they could have seen that. Good morning and welcome in here on this Thursday. We're back. Glad to see you guys again. Sorry about yesterday. The weather was not willing. The drainage was the problem. It was not, the rain per se. It was the rain and the inability for the area in which I live to drain. My car could not make it through for me to get here in time. By the time the water had gone down, there was no use. But we appreciate you guys joining us, sticking through, and dealing with our absence yesterday. We do apologize, like I said. And to make it up to you guys for missing yesterday, we will have a show tomorrow. Christian will not be here. It'll just be me going solo. But
I can make it in. I got to drive really early. I can make it in, though.
You sure?
Yeah. Can we end a little early?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I was going to end early if it was just me anyway. So, never mind. Christian will be here. I won't be by myself. So, it will be me and Christian rocking and rolling tomorrow morning. We'll make sure we were supposed to not have a show tomorrow. Since we missed yesterday, we will make our way over here to take care of business and have a Friday show to end out a strong week with you guys. Sabrion, Noah, need to get you a pick 'em up truck. Amen, brother. Amen. I need to mix it. I like my car because the gas mileage is outstanding, but I would like to have a pickup truck here and there. Tom Granny, good morning. Appreciate you texting me yesterday, making sure we were all right. Love you guys. Jason Tiger 7171. Is this going to change names of Tingle & Company also? No, it will not. I'll get into more of that later. I want to get through the headlines here real quick. LSU baseball versus Arkansas. Obviously, John Eads will be in at 8 a.m. to break down the series. Wilson Alexander put out a really good article over the week. I think when we got off air on Tuesday, he had a really, really good article come out where he kind of broke down LSU's NIL situation and how they were able to put together the roster they did. And we'll also talk a little bit about LSU football in 2025 and Garrett Nussmeier himself, because I saw a lot of interesting things out on the Twitterverse yesterday talking about LSU as well as their quarterback one. Couple of hand claps I want to give out. This is a little something new we're going to add into the mix of the show. It's just called two claps. Somebody does something really good, you give them two claps. And we're going to have our own selected or something like that. But during the show, if y'all here take y'all like in the chat, tell them you're giving them two claps. Yesterday, Gage Jump and Javen Coleman both with an immaculate inning, which I thought was unbelievable. I saw Coleman's. I put that out on social media, and then Stephen Miller, shout out, shot me a little tweet and was like, look, Gage Jump did it as well. So 2 immaculate innings for former LSU pitchers, and I thought Javen Coleman looked excellent. That was not like he had a rough go after he had the Tommy's Johns.
Yeah. And
he looked excellent. So he deserves 2 claps. Ready. There you go. Christian, you got to be more. You got to be.
I wasn't ready for
it. It's all right. That's why I say ready. Also on LSU baseball, former Tigers, Alex Bregman, 200 home runs last night. Shout out to the guy. I mean, talk about expectations coming into LSU, at LSU, now in the pros, living up to them. 2 claps. Ready. And then we got 2 more. I want to give a shout out to everybody in the bunker, in the chat. All of you guys. I was extremely humbled yesterday and the day before as I just saw follower counts and subscriber counts tick on up on the Tingle & Co. pages and channels. It was pretty awesome to see you guys share it, get in, subscribe, follow, get the word out there. It was extremely humbling to announce it the way we did on Tuesday, and to just see kind of the masses flood in on those accounts and pages as time went on. It was pretty awesome, and I want to give you guys a hand clap. Ready? And then last but not least, if you missed it last night, Mic'd Up with Mikey Montook and Jared Mitchell was live. And that might not seem like a surprise to some of you. But if you know, Christian, go ahead and flip the camera to yourself real quick. Yeah, Lloyd is out of town. Obviously, he is in London. So Christian's been taking over producer duties here on the channel every single morning. But he had to sub in for Lloyd on Mic'd Up as well. And that did not work out well on Monday night. If you didn't realize, he was not able to get the plane off the ground. He got back in, worked on Tuesday, got it handled. I met him out there. We got it taken care of. really he had it taken care of before I even got there. So good job. And then last night, Christian got the stream up and rolling, got Jay Mitchell on the video call, and handled business from Mic'd Up.
I had Lloyd on there too.
You did. And Christian took care of business. We had a Mic'd Up show last night with Christian stepping in Lloyd's place, taking care of what he needed to take care of. Christian deserves 2 claps. Ready. Good job, Christian.
Had a little trouble with the stream on Monday. Got in the cages on Tuesday.
Love it.
And we were Dalton Becking away on Wednesday. So big base hit up the middle last night. We got him rolling. And I think I'm doing Friday's show as well for him.
Oh, yeah? You're going to go Friday?
Yeah. They needed another pinch hitter Friday, so I'll be there Friday. Mic'd Up Friday, 1 p.m.
That's good, good. Well, I am extremely proud of you, Chris. I felt like a father last night when I turned Mic'd Up on and I saw it rolling and I heard you talking in the background. I was like, God, it's my kid. I've raised this young man. I've helped him get to where it was extremely proud. And then obviously extremely appreciative of everything you've done for us this week to kind of take care of Lloyd's absence. It's flown without a hitch, really. We've gone on through and haven't had too many issues so far yet. I'm gonna go ahead and knock on wood. Even if it's synthetic wood, it still counts. Don't screw up yet. But yeah, those are the headlines as we get rolling here on this Thursday morning. Like I said, John Eads will join us at 8 a.m. To talk some LSU baseball, give us his LSU versus Arkansas preview, so we can get rocking and rolling on the weekend. It's going to be a huge weekend. But like I said, I want to go back. I want to give y'all's flowers and just thank y'all for the support y'all showed me, Lloyd, Christian, the rest of our team, and the new Tingle & Co. pages. To touch on what who was it was it Justin? No, Jason in the chat asked about if this channel was going to change. This channel will not change. It is a new channel that's being created. This channel will continue to be the Culotta show or whatever Jordy decides to do with it. Our new channel has been created and is beginning to be uploaded on and subscribed to. Appreciate you guys for all of that. So if you needed a little refresh on what's going on, we will be live on this channel until the end of the month, June 1st. Everything will be over on the Tingle & Co. channel. So make sure you are subscribed over there if you haven't already. And like I said, extremely humbling to see you guys support over the last couple of days. That was a really cool part about yesterday was just kind of, I was doing some work, getting some channels. I got the Facebook page built out. I made a link tree. I was doing a lot of stuff for the Tingle & Co. channel, and I was just looking at some of the numbers. And it was really awesome to see you guys support and the way y'all were sharing things, subscribing, following, all of that was extremely humbling, and I appreciate you guys. And you guys are just as much a part of this as Christian, Lloyd, and myself. We're ready to take this ride with you guys. So we'll have Lloyd back next week. I know y'all miss him. I do as well. Christian, do you miss your Master Splinter?
Yeah, my Master Splinter, Master Shifu. What are some other great masters? Mr. Miyagi.
That's a good one.
There we go. Which one do you think Lloyd is?
That's a good one.
Splinter. I think
Splinter's a good one. But yeah, so I mean, we'll have Lloyd back next week, and Lloyd will talk about. I guess we'll bring up the transfer again. We'll make sure to remind you guys throughout the month, for you guys that Charles County Matters wants the new channel in the chat. I will do that now. So bear with me if I'm a little quiet for a second because I'm going to get this. Too late, already beat you to it. There we go. There is the new channel link. So if you need it, click it, subscribe to it. We appreciate you guys. And we will have, like I said, John Eads on at 8 a.m. today to talk baseball. I want to get into a little bit of a football discussion before Johnny joins us to talk Tigers and their series with Arkansas this weekend, which is going to be a huge one. I mean, I was listening to Mic'd Up last night when Mikey, Jay, Mitch, and Christian were rolling. And, just listening to them talk about this series and kind of where LSU's at record-wise. I saw Mic'd Up had a nice little blog/article come out talking about where LSU is, SEC win-wise and the ideal number. I think LSU can get to 18 pretty easily. 19 is the number they're looking for, and 20 would be ideal. But 19 is possible. They would, I think, need, 4 out of 6 in the next 2 series to get to 19 SEC wins, which is not impossible. But it starts this weekend with a really good Arkansas team. I mean, what you got?
And I think if you get 3-3 and do well in the SEC tournament, that'll help you out too, huh?
Yeah. It's just, you want to kind of have it handled before the tournament because Jay Johnson's never been the biggest SEC tournament guy unless it's been necessary. Like last year, it was necessary. Like they needed to have success, and so they did. Paul Maneri was a big SEC tournament guy. LSU baseball versus Arkansas. And to me, this Arkansas team is a juggernaut because they have, some of the best pitchers in the country, and that was the expectation coming in was their arms. And now they've got a lineup to kind of match it, which they never have really had in the past. They've always been a really good defensive and pitching team, and now they've got the lineup to go with it. So it's going to be a huge series. And like I said, John Eads from WAFB will join us at 8 to go a little more in-depth with it. But we're going to start with some LSU football. Christian, if you will pull up the first tweet I have in the document.
Okay.
Do what?
You share it with me?
Yes, it should be shared. If you just go to the folder, if I need to share it with you, just let me know. But yeah, so you should be shared. LSU football obviously had one of the best transfer portal class this last season, 3rd all time. If I remember Glenn saying that correctly, I actually went back and looked to see who 1 and 2 were, and that was from that original transfer portal season, 2022. USC, when they got Lincoln Riley, was number 1 all time, and then number 2 was that Ole Miss class that same year. LSU was number 3 in that year, the Jane Daniels class. But it was 1 USC 2022, 2 Ole Miss 2022, number 3 LSU 2025, all-time ranked transfer portal classes. LSU, huge success this offseason in the winter, obviously, and then into the spring, Bernard Gooden, A.J. Haulcy, and what they've been able to do. And they've paired that up with a good recruiting class out of high school where they've added guys like DJ Pickett, Harlan Berry, Solomon Thomas, some 5 stars, Carius Kern. My thing, one of the things that gets kind of forgotten about is the way they were able to retain players. I mean, Garrett Nussmeier coming back, Harold Perkins, obviously Whit Weeks was coming back regardless. Aaron Anderson is a guy that could have very much left. They were able to retain these guys, keep them from going to the league. You have that tweet pulled up?
Is it Brad Crawford?
Yes, Brad Crawford from 247 said, "I'm considering going all in on LSU as my preseason everything this summer." Coaches around the SEC know the Tigers are absolutely loaded everywhere. And so this was the first thing I saw on Twitter yesterday. And I think this is kind of I don't want to say, a common thought, but with the success LSU's had in the offseason, a lot of people are high on the Tigers, and rightfully so. They've been able to really grow their roster in a way that puts them straight into national championship contention, but definitely college football playoff contention. So the expectations are high. Like they have been extremely raised because obviously us, the people that are close to the program, that are fans of the program, are going to have high expectations for LSU football every single season. We have national championship. You can talk, as an LSU fan, you can talk yourself into a national championship contention every single offseason. Like I remember the year after 2019 going into 2020, I talked myself into it. The going into 2021, you can do that but when you see the national media have this sort of admiration or respect for your team, that's when you really start to understand the expectations are higher, not just to the LSU fan base. So he put that tweet out, and that was his expectations for LSU. And I think that's pretty common. I think a lot of people have high expectations for this roster because LSU went out, kept guys that they needed, got a good freshman class in, and then went out and filled positions of need, added a whole lot of production. And if you can pull up that second tweet, that'll bring us into the next kind of thought process on this. Actually, go to the one before this one. the CBS Sports one, if you see it on there. It's not blue, but it should still let you click it. Where LSU, the reason they have high expectations is because of this portal class, but there's one guy in particular that puts LSU in a position to be successful more than anybody else. And there's a reason why a lot of people have their focus on that is because of one specific player, and it's a returning quarterback. And as much as Garrett Nussmeier has growing that he needs to do, the fact that you have a returning quarterback, a guy that's been a part of your program for as long as he has, got the year of starting under his belt, and is returning, is the reason why you can have the respect you can have. Because returning quarterbacks and experienced guys have become the, kind of the expectation for success. I mean, Will Howard at Ohio State, they had one of the best rosters in the sport, but he was an experienced guy at quarterback. Quinn Ewers was in the Final Four as well. Experienced guy at quarterback. I'm trying to think of who else. Drew Aller is a guy that's got Penn State has high expectations because he's returning. This is Brad Crawford once again from 247 putting out his SEC quarterback rankings, and he has Garrett Nussmeier sitting atop the pack ahead of guys like Arch Manning at 2, Lenore Sellers 3, DJ Lagway 4, Mateer at 5. And I think this is probably what a lot of people's rankings look like, but especially those first 4 I think are pretty uniform around the country. Those are the best 4 guys to a lot of people in the conference: Nussmeier, Manning, Sellers, Lagway. And I think a lot of the thought on where LSU's success is going to be coming from, as much as it has to do with the roster that they've put together, it all starts with the guy that's under center or in the shotgun. The signal caller is where all of the expectations come from.
Yeah,
the fact
for LSU's case, definitely in the shotgun.
Yes. You have a experienced signal caller going into year 2 starting in Garrett Nussmeier, who obviously has all of the talent in the world and showcased that in flashes last season, has some things to iron out, and that'll bring into that last tweet that you pulled up before, Christian, where Chris Phillips from SEC Unfiltered, seeing a lot of LSU is a college football playoff team in 2025 takes today. Not saying I totally disagree. That said, Garrett Nussmeier better have learned how to take care of the football this offseason. Another 8-4 incoming, if not. And I can't say I entirely disagree, but to me, if LSU doesn't meet expectations, I highly doubt it's because Garrett Nussmeier was the issue.
And if they do, I don't think it's 8-4 either.
No,
that feels like the absolute floor for this team.
I mean, the 8-4 was not good enough last year. Like, it was a surprise that team ended up 8-4. This team is way more talented, and to me, I just don't think if they don't meet expectations, it's going to be because of Garrett Nussmeier. I think there are a lot of other things, and I thought about even putting a list together of what I'm concerned about more than I am Garrett Nussmeier, because I have multiple concerns on my list going into this season next year that are not Garrett Nussmeier. The offensive line is number 1, and that can obviously that will have an effect on Nussmeier. But to me, offensive line is my first concern. 2 would be, the chemistry of the roster as a whole. And then really the defense is a bunch of new faces. Like, all of that would be my concern. Yeah, the run game, more of a concern than Garrett Nussmeier. Like, there are so many things that are more concerning for LSU before their quarterback. Garrett Nussmeier is, like I said, one of the best in the country and should be recognized as such. Devin Johnson. Nuss had a lot on his plate last season to deal with, putting a first-year starter into a Tom Brady situation. I agree. I mean, he had so much he had to take care of last year, whether it's the protection, getting everything set up, audible. Like, that's where the struggles came from. He was a first-year starter with a first-year coordinator, and they were not able to run the football. To me, Joe Sloan is more of a concern than Garrett Nussmeier. Now, I don't have a super high concern on Joe Sloan, but I think he's more of a concern than I would have on Garrett Nussmeier. Then than the starting quarterback. My concerns would be the O-line, the run game, the defense meshing. And I think the defense is extremely talented, but they still need to get used to playing with one another. It's a lot of new faces. I mean, your defense is going to be full of guys that were not on your roster last season. And then the final one would be I'm more concerned about Joe Sloan than I am Garrett Nussmeier. My concern's not super high on Sloan, but I'm more concerned about him than I am Nussmeier being the problem. Like, to me, Nussmeier has, if he even has a season like last year, this team is better suited for success if he just replicated the same year.
Yeah.
But I don't think he will. There will be growth. He will be better. I think the run game will be better. That's a big question mark. I think it will be improved. That's why you went out and got Alex Atkins to fix that problem. Motion, 2 tight end sets, mix all these different changes. Jawan Johnson, so many things that you can sprinkle in.
Jet sweeps.
To fix that problem because it has to be fixed. That's more of a concern to me than Garrett Nussmeier.
Let me ask you this question. Bryson Cicero in the chat. If I offered you 10-2 but a loss to Clemson, however, you're an ATL, are you taking it?
Yeah. I mean, 10-2 gets you in the playoff.
Who are we playing? Who's LSU playing?
What, in the SEC championship?
You got to see Georgia. I don't know.
It'll be Georgia or Texas. But, I still think 10-2 gets you in.
Yeah.
Even
with a loss in the SEC championship.
And Seville, new faces doesn't worry me anymore. Every competitive team. I agree. But there still is an aspect of it where it's this is a defense full of guys that have not played with each other. They have to get in this summer and mesh. And I think they will. Because that's been something that's done well, that teams have been able to do. But I'm just saying that's more of a concern for me than Garrett Nussmeier and his ability is. But yeah, Bryson Cicero, 10-2, a loss to Clemson, and you have to play UGA or Tech. 10-2 gets you in the playoff, in my opinion, especially in the SEC.
It's hard to. That's a scenario that's very hard to see. 10-2 with a loss to Clemson. If they lose to Clemson, it's going to feel like another 8-4.
Think about you lose it. Yeah, obviously the perception would be bad if you lose to Clemson.
Well,
but
I think they just go 8-4.
If you lose to Clemson, you're losing one SEC game.
Yeah.
You're going to, there's 8 SEC games in the season?
That probably means Clemson is very good.
You just hit your microphone cord. Just make sure you plug that back in. Yeah, that means Clemson. Yeah, there you go. Clemson's a very good football team. But, and Heartless Burt, losing first week of the year might break me. I agree. But if they're 10-2 with a loss to Clemson, that means they went into their SEC schedule and they only lost 1 game. Whether that means they would have wins over, Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, go to Oklahoma, the whole list minus 1. One of those would be a loss.
And that probably means Clemson is
and that means Clemson is a really good football team. And so to me, if that's the case, I would take that 100%. Brock TV, LSU has a really tough first month of the season. Got to come out swinging. Yeah, they do. It is a ringer of a first month where you've got 3 games against teams with high expectations. Florida, Clemson, Ole Miss, and then to start the second month of the year, you got a bye week and then South Carolina. And so Bryson Cicero, we are pissed first week, but by week 12, that's the thing. The perception will be bad. You go into Clemson and you lose. But think about how excited LSU fans were last year after that Ole Miss win, and the way expectations flipped on a dime. You took care of business against Ole Miss at home, and you almost forgot about the USC loss because
we had completely forgotten about it.
You beat Ole Miss, a ranked team that was undefeated in Death Valley in overtime. It was high emotions. So if LSU's losing to Clemson week 1 and then goes on a run the rest of the year where they go 10-1 after that, the perception of that week 1 loss kind of gets forgotten about as the year goes on, especially if LSU has that success. Andrew Messina, Florida, and South Carolina both at home. That's a plus. I agree. But on the flip side of that, Alabama and Ole Miss both away. You haven't beat Oxford and Ole Miss Ole Miss in Oxford since 2019. There's a lot of things on this schedule that It's a tough one, but I really like that point, Bryson, where if you're 10-2 with a loss to Clemson, I think you take that 10 times out of 10. Obviously, you'd love to not lose week 1, but 10-2 gets you into the playoff, and that's what LSU's expectation truly is. Now, when you look at this roster, the expectation might be raised a little bit, where it's, okay, is this a national championship contender? And I think that's an okay question to ask because this is a loaded roster. It's extremely talented, extremely experienced. You've got one of the best quarterbacks in the country. You've got Caden Durham with a year under his belt. You've got a really good wide receiver room with a whole lot of pieces, a lot of production and experience as well with a guy like Aaron Anderson, who's your leading receiver last season. Tight end, you have so much talent. The defense, so experienced and talent. Like, if you really start to break it down, you can talk yourself into a national championship. But the expectation is still college football playoff. That's what the expectation and the goal is. Obviously, the true goal is a national championship. The realistic goal is you can just make the college football playoff. Now, if they make it and they lose, I'm going to be pissed. Like, I'm not going to act like I'm not. Like, I'm going to be okay with just making it. Heartless Bird in the chat, I want a playoff win. I agree. I would be pissed if they make it and they lose. I would be highly upset. If you give me a home playoff game in Tiger Stadium, which about as much as I can ask for, I will be on 12 going into Death Valley in December for a college football playoff game. But I would love for that to be a win. Like, I would be pretty upset if that's a loss. Kimberly, they go as the O-line goes. I agree. That's my highest concern, much more than Nussmeier.
What about punting?
I'm concerned about the punting game, but I don't think that you're – and I might – you know what? I'm more concerned about the punter than I am about Garrett Nussmeier. Like, that's why – like, my concern is not Garrett Nussmeier and his ability. The reason he played the way he did, the decision-making obviously needs to grow. He was throwing the ball 50 times. The concern was always him getting a little too trigger happy and throwing the ball in spots that didn't need to go. How do you solve that problem? You don't make him throw it that many times. You put him in positions to be successful so he has a run game to support him. And he didn't have that. And so he had to throw it 50 times. So you're just giving him more opportunities to fall back into bad habits. Heartless Bird, I've been so into baseball. Do we have a punter problem? We've had some special teams issues, LSU has, over the last couple of years.
Lingering.
And do what?
Lingering.
It hasn't really been solved yet. There's somewhat of a punter issue. They went out and got Grant Chadwick out of the portal, and I think he should step in and do a good job. But I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
On the LSU punting front. But I think LSU deserves the expectations. And I think that it starts with Garrett Nussmeier, and there are a whole lot of things I'm concerned about before I am about number 13 for LSU. They've put together a really, really good roster, and the expectation should be high. And that kind of brings me to where what Wilson Alexander put out over the weekend. I mean, I feel like it's a Monday because we didn't have a show yesterday. On Tuesday, earlier this week, Wilson Alexander put out a really good write-up on LSU, their NIL status, how they were able to find the success this offseason. His tweet to kind of preview it said, at WH_Alexander Wilson Alexander for The Advocate, how did LSU sign the number one transfer class? Needing more NIL money, Brian Kelly and Austin Thomas got donors to fund at least $10 million in front-loaded deals. On fundraising, the Bryce Underwood effect, and an NFL-like system that has set up a college football playoff chase. A really good write-up. Like, when I tell you I saw this come out, I saw the tweet that he put out with it that we just read, was extremely excited about it, had super high expectations, opened it up and read it, and they blew all my – like, Wilson absolutely nailed this. And it was such a good read because it was something that's so prevalent in the discussion of LSU football right now is, okay, how did they pull this off? We talked to Glenn on Tuesday. Okay, Glenn, last season they couldn't get a defensive lineman against in a battle with TCU. They didn't beat out Miami for a defensive lineman when they were trying. What changed where they can go out and get the number one safety in the portal in a battle with Miami, the same team that beat them out last year? The NIL landscape changed. The support changed for LSU. That is the storyline. And shout out to Wilson for getting out a really good write-up on the current situation for LSU and kind of where this class sits, this team, this roster sits. One of the really nice quotes I liked was from Brian Kelly. They talked about retaining starters, adding a top 10 high school class, as well as the number one Porter class. Just an absolute masterclass of an offseason from Brian Kelly, Austin Thomas. Austin Thomas and his role is highly prevalent in this article. They talk about how much he means to this aspect of LSU football, a whole lot in this article. And the quote from Kelly is, "We have a football team that now is poised to play with anybody in the SEC. We didn't before," which is 1,000% accurate. My thought process at the end of the Texas Bowl, when you're losing what you were losing, and the high school recruiting class what was very good, but it's not one that's going to come in and propel you to a national championship. And if they would have went out and had a similar offseason to 2024, we're not having the same conversation about LSU right now. They did not have a team that was ready to play with anybody in the SEC, which means anybody in the country. They went out and made that happen. Wilson in this article says, the goal was to raise at least $13 million for LSU's NIL collective Bayou Traditions, with the intention of front-loading deals before the school expects to begin paying players this summer. Over the previous 3 years combined, the collective's general counsel said it had spent $11 million on the roster, including $5.5 million last year. So the goal was $13 million for 2025. 22 to 24, they spent 11 combined. The fact that LSU was still able to be competitive when they weren't spending what everyone else was spending. I mean, Ole Miss, what was it, $10 million on their roster last season? Ohio State, what was it, 20? LSU spent 5.5.
I mean, LSU is like an average basketball roster.
Like Auburn spent $8 million on their basketball team. LSU spent $5.5 million on their roster last year.
13 players compared to 22 and a bench.
Right. Like, I mean, your roster's full in football compared to basketball. I mean, and so they needed that number to be juiced up, but they also needed strategy on how to use it. You can raise all the money you want. You saw Texas A&M do it the first year of high school recruiting. And even Ole Miss, you can raise all the money you want. You have to have a strategy. And that's where Austin Thomas comes in. Austin Thomas is a godsend for LSU football. Like, you cannot understate how important and vital he is to the success and the way they were able to have success this offseason. In the article by Wilson Alexander of The Advocate, during one of LSU's open dates this past fall, Thomas and Woodward visited the Seattle Seahawks to understand how an NFL team navigates the salary cap. Woodward called the trip an affirmation that we were in the right direction and doing the right things. Thomas also used connections with the Houston Texans to refine his monetary valuation system as LSU's collective prepared to spend big before schools begin paying athletes July 1st as a result of the House settlement, which is talking about revenue sharing, obviously. I mean, they went out, they went to the NFL, and they built a strategy. So, one, you realize that you need to raise money. 2, you start to raise that money. 3, you have to have a strategy on how to use it. And that's where Austin Thomas comes in and shines. As much as he does a big part of raising the money, LSU's got a really good donor base, regardless. Brian Kelly's going to go out there and raise money as well. Austin Thomas is going to step in and help in that department. But his goal and his job is create the strategy on how you build the roster with that money that you've been able to raise. And Austin Thomas goes out, goes to Seattle, visits the Seahawks, goes to the Texans, creates a system to break down valuation for specific guys at specific spots. And the article goes on to talk about kind of revenue sharing and what that means. and how LSU was planning to attack that. They were planning to pay out $10 million in the first half of 2025, which is money that does not factor into that revenue sharing cap. So they went out and they got the money raised, they front loaded it, and they spent it before revenue sharing comes in and there's a cap on that money. But what I really liked in this article was the in-depth aspect of Austin Thomas's valuation system, because I think it's something that cannot be undervalued in this current day and age. And if LSU has success, so much of that success and the flower should go at the feet of Austin Thomas and the job he's done. Wilson, in his write-up on The Advocate, says, Thomas uses the valuation system to keep track of spending, using how much NFL teams spend on certain positions as a guide. LSU set a financial starting point for every spot on the roster. If Thomas inputs a new value somewhere, the other positional values change to stay under the cap. It lets him quickly input and interpret information, helping him make formulaic decisions. Thomas spent considerable time last year assessing the team to understand skill sets, strengths, and weaknesses. And then in August, LSU's player personnel staff began rating and calculating the potential value of every player in college football. The staff created a national board of potential targets based on certain metrics, including their background, experience, and competition level, in case those players enter the transfer portal. Thomas went on to say, a lot of work happens that doesn't come to fruition, but at the end of the day, the ones that do, it was worth it and it paid off. I mean, so he's got this in-depth system on creating value for certain positions. Then they built a national board of players across the entire country. Put in their value, created their target list, and when those guys hit the portal, a guy like A.J. Haulcy, they're ready to go. They get him on campus, the deal's done. They got Bernard Gooden on campus, done. A.J. Haulcy got him on campus, done. There's no negotiation, which there probably is. But, I mean, that they've got this so prepared and laid out, it's night and day compared to where they were last year. And Brian Kelly even comments on that. He talks about where they were last year. He goes on to say, let me see. He said something along the lines of it was a decision last year that was calculated to not go out and build a roster with NIL money in the transfer portal. Kelly says, we knew going into the season that our roster was not at the level it needed to be, but we weren't ready to do the things necessary to address that. We were still a year away in terms of the development of our program. So last year to go into the transfer portal, he says it would have been premature. So that's the difference. And I'm going to take Brian Kelly's word on that it was a calculated move not to go out and put together this big, expensive portal class last year. Because from this standpoint, it's paid off. Where you have the experience you have from returning guys, you have a really good freshman class, and then you've gone out and added key pieces at key spots with the money you've been able to raise and the positions you've been able to value them at to be really, really successful.
I mean, Brian Kelly tells you in that little snapshot of a sentence that year 3's this year. What he said year 3 was going to be, it's really this year. So
100%.
Go back and edit his quote from 3 years ago and just make it year 4, because that's really what he's saying.
Yeah, the quote should now be changed. Instead of judge me on year 3, which is a quote Lloyd loves.
Yeah.
The quote should be, I'm keeping receipts, I'll see you all at the national championship. That's the quote now.
I mean, it is self-incriminating, though, from Brian.
100%. But I think if you really look at it with a non-biased lens, you have to understand year 3, even though it is Brian Kelly's fault, he made those hires.
Yes.
Year 3 got pushed back because they had to reset.
Let's not make excuses for him, but at the same time, it's all right. 1 year back, okay.
You can look at it realistically. Yes.
Don't fuck it up this year.
Amen. And that's where they're at now. The roster was not at the level they needed to be. They weren't ready to do the things necessary to address that. Woodward went on with a quote in Wilson's article, we did not do as well as we should have in probably filling the needs that we needed to do from the portal, which other schools did better than we did. I think we clearly saw that deficiency and made up for it. So Thomas went through, looked at the roster, was ready to go. They had this offseason circled. Before last year even started, this offseason they had circled. Austin Thomas had the 2025 offseason with a big circle around it. He had it on his whiteboard with an underline and stars next to it. This was the offseason. Regardless of the success they had in 2024, from reading Wilson's article, 2025 was the offseason they had circled and ready to go. And when you look at what they've done, it makes sense. They put in the work, a considerable amount of time to make it happen. So as much as a lot of times we can look at it through the lens of Bryce Underwood made this happen, and I do think, and Wilson goes on to discuss it, I'm not going to go fully into the Bryce Underwood conversation. I think it definitely did wake some people up, shook a couple people when LSU just got publicly outbid for a guy that's been committed to them for almost a year. I think the way it went down with Bryce, where you had him committed for a year, a week before signing day, it is publicly displayed and almost flexed by Michigan that they went out and paid for him, like outbid you with a number that was so much higher that it wasn't even a question for him. So I think they obviously had begun kind of the steps to be successful, but I still think Bryce Underwood's decision impacted the way LSU moved this offseason. Because it was really, like, to really sit back, think about the way it played out, where you had him committed for almost a year. You felt so extremely, and by you, I mean me, I felt so extremely confident in the fact that Bryce Underwood was going to end up in Baton Rouge with a purple and gold uniform on, and it didn't happen. And the way it went down, when you sit back and you think about how public that entire situation played out. Like, the numbers were never hidden. Michigan never shied away from it. Dave Portnoy went on a podcast and broke the whole thing down. We're flexing on the fact that they went out and they paid $12 million for an 18-year-old. And in the write-up, Wilson says the night of November 21st, the general counsel and former manager of LSU's collective got so many calls and text messages. His name is Carlos Spat. Sorry if I got it wrong. So many calls and text messages that he thought something had happened to a member of his family. It was an aha moment for a lot of donors, was the quote. Spot goes on to say, I think we would have been fine ultimately, but that sort of turned on a faucet that was pretty amazing. He said, everyone who has given more than $100,000 over the last 3 years called me within a 12-minute span, is what it felt like. It was really an earthquake that rattled the entire LSU faithful, fan base, roster, high school recruiting class, donor base, obviously. It was just this massive explosion that had a butterfly effect. And I like this article goes in to say LSU was prepared to make the right moves this offseason and to raise the money. But you can't sit back and say the Bryce Underwood deal did not help.
Just kickstarted it and probably increased the pool of how much money they had to spend.
Yeah, I mean, if everyone, like he says, everyone who's given more than $100,000 over the last 3 years heard the news and called him inside 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is about the same time between now and when John Eads will join us at 8 a.m. Don't forget. God, that was a good little move right there. Called him.
They just slick, huh?
Yeah, that one clicked in my head, and I was like, I checked the time. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I can't not do it. It obviously kickstarted something, and they went out. Thomas estimated LSU met with 20 to 25 donors, giving them a presentation which included the monetary valuation system, the importance of NIL, and showed the spending of other programs. You know, and that, to me, that valuation system is what made all the difference in the world. It's really hard to go to rich folk, your donors, and say, hey, we need all this money. And they're like, why? I just say, we need players. Well, how much you spend on it? Now you go to them and you show them this system that Austin Thomas and his team has built out. And it's hard to say no when they show you how they're going to do it. When they truly break it down step by step and how they're going to do it. Brian Burgess, had LSU signed Underwood, they wouldn't have had enough NIL money to address their other needs. It was a blessing in disguise, Michigan signing him. I don't know if that's completely true. I think LSU would have been able to raise money to address needs. Now, they would have spent a large sum of it on just Bryce, so there definitely wouldn't have been guys that are on the roster now that you would have had. So you're not entirely wrong. I don't in any way. But I don't want to go to the extent of saying it was a blessing in disguise that you didn't get the number one quarterback in the country, because I think you would love to have Bryce on your team, but Bryce wouldn't have ultimately led to success in 2025. So if your goal was success next season, then you can have it as a aha moment, a blessing in disguise somewhat. But you never want to say that missing out on the number one quarterback was a blessing, because it wasn't. But I do think that you were able to get guys you wouldn't have been able to if Underwood would have signed with LSU and you would have paid him. But I still think they would have had the NIL funding to take care of some things and fill some holes. So I don't think you're entirely wrong, but it would have been nice to have Bryce on the roster because he is special, and we really talked ourselves up on him. So it was a really good write-up. So if you haven't seen it, obviously I gave you a little bit of a preview. Go to the Advocate. Go to Wilson's write-up. It's titled, the headline is, I think it just says the inside story of how LSU football signed the number one transfer portal class in the country. The headline of the article says, the inside story, brought to you by Wilson Alexander, who absolutely nailed it. It's about a 10-minute read. Make sure you subscribe to the Advocate to read it. Outstanding stuff from Wilson. Wilson deserves 2 hand claps. Christian, you ready? Ready. Guy, you're almost there. You're getting there.
You got to do a little countdown. 1, 2.
No, it's just
I don't know
2
when you're
claps,
clapping.
ready. And then right after ready, it's clap, clap.
Oh, I did that, but it was still off.
Because you're still just waiting. We're going to do it again.
All right.
All right, Wilson deserves 2 claps. Ready. There you go.
Had my mic
Now you
there,
got it.
but-
It's all right. You
yeah.
still got it now. Great stuff from Wilson. Make sure you go give that a read because it is top-tier content breaking down how LSU was able to put this roster together. And it's going to be super, super exciting to kind of see where it goes from here. Because like Glenn West said on Tuesday, one of the most important parts of LSU's offseason, the next phase has begun. And a lot of it falls on this class of players to build chemistry and to begin to mesh so that they can have the success that they need in 2025. So good stuff from Wilson. Appreciate you guys hanging out with this morning. All the discussion in the chat. Let's see. Glimmer Fredette. I'm sure Austin Thomas had a similar strategy to fire up that Ole Miss fan base to spend money like they did on last year's roster. I don't know. 100%. He has understood this NIL market and system, and he's gone out and done it specifically and successfully at schools like Ole Miss and LSU. BK said they use all of that commitment to address all of their needs. Yep. So, I mean, it was a huge, huge offseason for LSU, and shout out to Wilson for really breaking it down in that write-up over on the Advocate. We'll try to get Wilson in next week to, I guess, go more in depth and to fill us in even more on what they were able to do. I should have reached out to him yesterday to have him on today because that would have been nice to hear him break down his own write-up rather than me try to do it as best as I can. But like I said, if you didn't notice or you've forgotten, Tingle & Co. channel is up and running. Make sure you subscribe over there to be ready. All the additional content that comes out will be over on that channel, whether that's YouTube Shorts, YouTube videos, whether we do some fun stuff that we add on before the month of June. It'll all be coming out over there. But on top of that, in June, this show will originate on that channel. So the content that you are accustomed, to break it down in the most simplest terms, every piece of content that you've grown accustomed to that's had the title Culotta Show on it will now be taking place with the title Tingle & Co. on the Tingle & Co. pages and channels. Whether it's social media, YouTube, all of those things, it is all transferring over to Tingle & Co. And this 7 to 9 show will be lived out for the remainder of this month on this channel. Starting on June 1st, it'll be on the Tingle & Co. channel. So make sure you subscribe to there. The link is in the chat. Hit it, subscribe it, share it. Get the word out there. Let everybody know. Appreciate you guys for already doing that this week. But continue to do that. Get that channel ready to go. I remember Andrew Messina said something about getting it to 10,000 subscribers prior to LSU football season. And Christian said, let's do that before June 1st. We're on a roll right now. We are at 8,999 subscribers right now. We are one subscriber away from 9,000 over on the Tingle & Co. channel. So if you're seeing this right now and you're not subscribed, hit that link, go over there and sub. There we go.
Is it 89999?
We just hit 9,000. We just hit 9,001 subscribers over on the Tingle & Co. channel. I appreciate you guys immensely. You guys are the best. Brian Burch just subscribed. Love you, BB. Just hit 9,000 subs over there. Let's see if we can get 1,000 more in the next, 23 days, the next 3 weeks.
We can do that next week.
Give me 1,000 more subs. Let's be at 10K before we start on that new channel. And then prior to football season, who knows where we're going to be. I'm super excited for the next journey, and I'm super excited to take it with all of you guys. Spectrum WellCare, Cordell producing a new intro song. He's already done it. It's already been taken care of. Cordell has sent us the new song, and it's fire. Just to let y'all know that now. It's absolutely fire. Brian Burgess, do I get something for being number 9,000? I mean, we might have to meet up at Superior. I know you love your Superior margaritas. You might have turned yourself a free one.
I don't know, but you can tell everybody in the chat that you can put that in your name, Brian Burgess. Parentheses 9,000th subscriber. Yeah, we're at 9,007 right now. West Shin, same studio. Bring the chair back. The chair is still sitting right over there. It's not our chair. It is Jordy. So we'll have to. Maybe we can buy that chair off of him. We'll see. We will not be in the same studio though. From what I know right now, we're still going through that process of ironing out where exactly we'll originate. It is possible that we're here. But it is also possible we'll be in a new spot. Those are some of the kinks we're still ironing out prior to June 1st. So, Glimmer for that. Tingle & Co. about to let it go. Cordell. Amen. The song will be played probably when Lloyd gets back. He's still got to upload it into the deal over there, the production side, to have it rocking and rolling. So, I appreciate you guys, all your support, Tingle & Co. channel. Like I said, if you haven't subbed to it, go over and subscribe. Follow all the social media. I'm going to put I think I should have the link tree built out for Tingle & Co. So I can put that link in the chat as well, so you guys can go over and follow all the other pages. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. We're going to take a quick break if Christian's ready. We'll take a break. We'll reset. We should have John Eads joining us in about 5 minutes or so. And Matuk's still with y'all. Oh, yeah. Mikey is all in, a part of the squad as well. So we're going to take a quick break, reset the set. We'll have John Eads join us at 8 a.m. talk LSU baseball. And I will drop the link tree link in the chat right now so you can go ahead and subscribe to the other YouTube channel and follow all the pages. So we appreciate you guys. We'll be right back after this.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-4600. 8022. Bears Lawn Maintenance.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Well, the Oscar Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
Fourier Insurance Agency, established in 1946, helping you with your home, auto, commercial, life and health insurance needs, around in Baton Rouge at 4275 Government Street and online at FourierAgency.com. Whatever insurance you're in the market for, home, auto, commercial, contractors, life and health, get in touch with Fourier Insurance Agency, FourierAgency.com, or give them a call at 225-383-0682. Fourier Agency.
Get Gordon and get it done. Yeah, everybody know Gordon in a 225. And he done leave a big foe. He got buku ties, Ferrari sliding, flying in a new coupe ride. And every time I ride by, I see a brand new sign. I'm with Gordon, I know that he gon' get it done. Whether it's a big truck crash or a hit and run, recovery funds, he fighting to get a ton. Mike Epps, man, we all about the Benjamin. Handling injuries, man, are you kidding me? Gordon McKernan, that's champion energy. Yeah, family man with a family plan. Get Gordon, he gon' fix it like a handyman. Get Gordon and get it done.
Welcome to Trifecta.
Trifecta Sports Therapy in Baton Rouge. Recover, repair, restore. At Trifecta, they believe in total body wellness. Trifecta gets the body back to its full potential. Whether you're a youth or pro athlete, a pre or postnatal mom, or if you lead an active lifestyle or a senior citizen, Trifecta has the class, the sports massage, the sports therapist, the stretch therapist, or the equipment like infrared sauna, cold plunges, and golf simulators to find your best. Find Trifecta online at trifectasportstherapy.com or check out the beautiful facility today, 8221 Goodwood. Trifecta Sports Therapy.
Hey, Tiger fans, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit us, Tom and Wright Granning, at Go Mart on the Go Deli.
Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip.
Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on your left.
Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff,
where everyone is family.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
You got too many moving pieces back there. That slowed down. You're ready to go.
Yeah.
A little bit. Brian Burgess, you guys heard from Lloyd of London, just wondering how he's enjoying the trip. I think he's he's enjoying himself very much. We've not heard too much from him, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I was actually texting Tom yesterday, and Tom, I said something how Lloyd's out of town. He said he will love it there. I said, yeah, I'm just hoping he comes back. That's the goal. We got to make sure Lloyd makes it back home here to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But we've got our guy John Eads in studio here at 8 a.m. rolling into hour number 2 to talk some LSU baseball as the Tigers have a big series this weekend against the Hogs. LSU versus Arkansas. Kind of a high leverage series a little bit as both teams kind of have a shot at snagging that number 1 spot in the conference. Arkansas a little bit ahead of LSU in that race. But LSU can put themselves in a pretty good position if they take care of business this weekend. John, thank you for coming in once again. How are you?
Great. Always good to see y'all. I appreciate it. But on the other hand, I'm not great. I just told you why.
Yep.
Cousin's got a wedding, and so going to miss this entire series, which will probably be a great one. And then a lot of great high school baseball going on this weekend as well. So just a bummer.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I can only imagine.
Family.
Yep. I mean, respect to you, obviously, for going and supporting your family.
I mean, have to. It's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. As much as LSU and Arkansas moves the needle, the family wedding.
Besides that, I don't know what else would get me out of town this weekend. I got a buddy, the guy that does the interviews with the pencils?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
He's going to be in town this weekend, and I told him, yo, when you're in town, let me know, because I knew he was coming to one series, and it happened to be this one. And I told him there's nowhere else I'd rather be than BR this weekend if I didn't have to be at the wedding there, obviously. So
definitely. No, I
brutal.
I do feel for you.
I appreciate it.
I do, but
I'm genuinely disappointed. I haven't been this disappointed in a long time.
I can see it on your face when you walked in. I asked how you were, and you were like, I was like, oh no.
This week has sucked. There was no midweek game.
Right.
And then the whole time in the back of my head, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go do all this work this week about stuff that's happening this weekend, and I'm not going to be here to see it.
Yeah.
So.
No, it is.
Yeah.
That is tough. I do feel for you immensely. But we're going to make you talk about this weekend a little bit more.
That's fine. I'm still going to keep up, obviously. And,
that's
it'll be important down the road and still a lot of baseball left after that. So can't just, take your foot off the gas pedal.
Amen. So what are your overarching points before we dive really specifically into this weekend as the Hogs are headed to Alec Box to take on the Tigers?
Well, you kind of mentioned it, but Arkansas is coming off probably its best weekend of the year, and it's put them in a position to where if they win a lot of their games remaining, the 6 remaining, they have an opportunity to take the number 1 seed in the conference and win the regular season title there. Texas still has a 2-game lead on them, though, and they're playing at Florida, I think we had looked at this weekend. And then they got one more series after that. I don't know who they're playing. But they still have a chance to, if they handle their business, take the conference. But that was a really impressive series they had. I felt like every time I looked at my phone and was checking the Arkansas-Texas score, it was a lot of runs for Texas and not many – a lot of runs for Arkansas and not many for Texas. So they dominated that series thoroughly. Now it's – one of those things where you put a miniature asterisk by it because Jared Spencer, their ace, out for the foreseeable future, I think the whole year.
Yeah, the rest of the year.
With an injury. Some of their hitters are banged up, so that wasn't like full-strength Texas, but still, I mean, they played really good ball the most consistently all year, and Arkansas took it to them. A few notes that I had. I got notes on the starting pitching, the offense, and the bullpen.
Yeah.
Pitching's really good. The guy that you're going to see in Game 1, Zach Root, he's a lefty. He won SEC Co-Pitcher of the Week last week along with Anthony Ianson, and I was like, how the heck did Ianson not win that outright? I mean, complete game, allowed 1 run, 14 strikeouts. I mean, unbelievable. But Root pitched 8 scoreless against Texas, which is also pretty impressive. Because that's a pretty good Longhorn lineup, obviously.
Yeah.
I still would have given the nod to Ianson because he went the full 9.
Yeah, CG.
Yeah, and, he gave up, 1 solo homer, and then that was pretty much it.
Yep.
Like, that was, flawless performance.
Yeah, I agree.
Dang near. So he's solid, and then they got this other guy, Gage Wood, who hasn't pitched a lot this year. He started the season and then missed 2 months with a shoulder injury, and he's pitched in 3 games since returning from that injury with some mixed results. So I wouldn't say this staff is as good as Texas A&M's was last weekend, and they got 3 really good starts from all of their pitchers, which we expected they would.
Yeah.
So I think there's some opportunities there to get after these guys. And then they have, I think they're going to go with Sunday as TBA this week. They've had a couple guys make spot starts in that 3rd game, but the guy that ran out for him last week allowed 4 runs in 4 innings. And from a pitching standpoint, I got more in-depth notes on these guys, but I think that's the key, is that in games where they have to exit early and you get to their bullpen, good things happen. Like Root only got through 3 innings at Ole Miss earlier this season. They lost that game. He only got through 4 against A&M. They lost that game. Only 4 1/3 at Florida. They lost that game. And the difference was against Texas, he went 8 innings, and they won in dominant fashion. Then they ended up winning the series. So I think if you can drive the pitch count up and get to them early, I think that's the biggest key. It's kind of cliche, but I gave you some numbers and some research as to why I think that's very important this weekend right there.
Yeah, and that does lead to kind of the conversation on LSU's lineup, because that is something that they haven't done considerably well the last couple of weekends. Obviously, they did it really good on the Sunday game against Tennessee. They got into the bullpen quick, but Tennessee, I think, had an opener for that game. They weren't really keeping anybody out there considerably long, but the lineup has not been able to drive pitch counts up. I think back to last Sunday against A&M. Cowan got out of the game in the 4th inning, and A&M's pitcher got into the 6th or the 7th, and the lineup was not able to string together ABs, get the pitch count up. Do you see that changing for the time? Like that kind of, it's 2 things where you can have success if you're LSU if you do this, but it's something that we haven't seen them do,
Well, they definitely play better at home overall, like defensively, pitching, offensively. But, kind of what I just said I think will help with that too. Like their pitching staff isn't as good as A&M's.
Right.
And the A&M pitchers did a great job attacking. So, when they're throwing strikes and they're hitting their spots and they're painting corners, it's kind of hard to take balls and drive pitch counts up, I think they'll have a better opportunity to do that because the A&M or the Arkansas staff doesn't walk a lot of guys, but they've shown this year that innings will extend if you make them, if you force them to. And LSU, when they're playing their best baseball, is
they're seeing it well.
Taking extended at bats, seeing pitch as well. Exactly. So I would expect them to be better in that regard this weekend, and I think that they'll have to be. And when they are, that's when they're clicking the most. Like it's not sporadic singles or a double here, a double there. It's a couple walks, maybe a hit by pitch, maybe a pass ball, and then you get the big knock from somebody in the lineup, bases clearing double, the home run. So I think it's extremely important that happens, and the offense needs to bounce back because it just was not good enough against A&M, and it struggled more so on the road for whatever reason than it has at home. So that gives you some confidence. And in a lot of games this year at home, they've found ways to win against other teams' aces. I don't necessarily – Root's good. I wouldn't necessarily call anybody else an ace besides him. So if they can get the bats going, specifically Stephen Milam and Jake Brown, and even Jared Jones. Milam's hitting 205 in SEC play. JB's 241, and Jared's 252. Like, their best hitters have been Stanfield, Curiel, and Dickinson at the top. They're the top 3. So it's really kind of a case of your best players playing up to their standard. And they have to do it at some point. Milam kind of got it rolling last weekend. I think Jake Brown's in for a rebound, especially since you're not facing 3 straight lefties. Gage Wood, their game 2 guy, is a right-hander, and he's had some ups and downs. So I would expect guys like Ethan Fry on game 1, Jake Brown game 2, those righty-lefty matchups to really be exploited.
Yeah, and then Arkansas, obviously, we've talked if you followed SEC baseball, they've always been kind of connected to, when you think of Arkansas, you think of really good pitching.
Yeah, but bad offense. It's different this year.
And this year it's very much different. Yeah. The offense for Arkansas is kind of the lead. Like when you talk about this Arkansas baseball team, you're talking about that lineup. And that is another thing that kind of, we're talking about LSU's bats struggling against Arkansas, and Arkansas have some good pitchers. This LSU pitching staff is playing really well right now and throwing the ball so well, but they're about to run into a really good lineup.
They'll get tested this weekend, and you know what you'll get from Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson. And then Sunday, obviously, you don't know if it's going to be Kaysen or something else. But the depth in LSU's bullpen is really going to get tested this weekend because, as you mentioned, Arkansas is very elite offensively this year, and that hasn't been the case recently. Usually I feel like the talking point is great pitching, not a lot of offense, but it's a little bit of both this year. In fact, the offense might be better than the pitching and the defense. Arkansas leads the SEC in batting average, and this is all conference-only statistics, by the way. Batting average, hits, tied for second in doubles. They're second in homers. They lead the SEC in RBI, second in walks. So this is probably the best lineup you've faced all year, in my opinion. So guys like Maverick Rizzi, who looked good at A&M, Jaden Newt, DJ Primo, Connor Ware, Chase Shores, the depth pieces from your bullpen that you needed to throw up zeros and give you an opportunity to extend games and even win games last weekend, you really need to show out and do well. That's been the biggest thing with the bullpen pieces is the walks and the control and the command. And if you make mistakes and you miss your spots, Arkansas will say thank you and take bases gladly. And then before you know it, they put up a 4 or a 5, some kind of a crooked number, and the game's over. That's kind of what happened against Tennessee in that second game. There were some errors mixed in there too. So, yeah, I think that's kind of the tipping point in this series is when LSU needs to go to a bullpen guy on a Friday, on a Saturday, not named Cowan and Evans, how do those guys perform against a really good lineup? They'll get tested. So
yeah, for sure.
That could sway this series right there.
Definitely. I mean, and this is, like you said, this is a big-time lineup that Arkansas has. And, you know, when we sit back and we think about what it'll look like, especially tomorrow night with Root on the mound as well as Cade Anderson, you're thinking pitcher's duel, and you'll think back to last weekend, where it was 2 pitchers' duels on Friday and Saturday. But with this Arkansas lineup, runs aren't going to be quite at the same premium that they were against A&M, where obviously it's a pitcher's duel and, you know, it's not going to be this high-scoring affair. But this Arkansas lineup is so good, you have to assume they are going to scratch runs across. You can't assume for as good as Cade Anderson is, you can't go into the game expecting him to keep a 0 or a 1 or a 2 on the board. You have to assume Arkansas and this lineup are going to go out, get runs across home plate, and it's really going to be on the LSU offense to step up.
Yeah, and they've been in pitchers' duels this year, and they've won most of them, but they haven't played as good of an offense from the way I see it in those games. So they've won like 2-1, 2-1 again on the Saturday against A&M. I'm talking about the 2-1 against Mississippi State. They won the pitcher's duel against Liam Doyle, even though all those 6 runs came in the 9th inning. I mean, you still got him, right?
Even looking back, Oklahoma, when Anderson was
Witherspoon, and So I just don't, and the weather was awful that weekend too, not good for offense. So I think that'll be interesting to see if LSU can. You're probably not going to put your runs up early in the game because that's kind of how pitchers' duels work, you know. Right. You kind of want to get to the bullpen and see what you can do. But it might be important that they score early because, LSU's kind of struggled at times this year when the ace has gotten out of the game and the bullpen, their top bullpen arms come in and then there's 2 innings to go and it's a fresh look and they've kind of dominated the Tigers at points in that regard. That'll be interesting to see if the offense can put up some numbers because, I don't know, Arkansas will, I feel like.
Yeah.
And,
that's the tough part is when you look at it, you would be hard pressed to think you can hold this Arkansas lineup down. And when as people that cover the program and in some sense for us are fans, like we know this lineup so well, we know what they're capable of, that we always assume, this LSU lineup can hang with anybody in the country. And I do think that it can.
Yeah.
We just have not seen that. And so that's where the concern raises of, are you betting more on the potential of what you know can happen or the thing that you've seen most consistently? And what we've seen watching this team most consistently is an inability to score runs and get in a rhythm offensively. How high is your level of concern in that regard going into tomorrow night and the weekend as a whole?
I'd say it's not high, but it's definitely there. Like I was thinking about on the way over here, which way I'm kind of leaning with this: Arkansas 2 out of 3 or LSU 2 out of 3, and it's just a hard decision because it's exactly what you had just said. You know, you're kind of projecting in some regards based on things that you've seen in the past, maybe against lesser competition.
Yeah.
And when LSU's been playing at its best versus what Arkansas is doing, which is, I mean, the numbers don't lie. They've been consistently solid all year and producing. So I'd say it's there. But then the other thing in the wild card is that you're back at home, and this team has just been better. They're 10-2 in SEC home games this year. They're really a different team when they play here versus when they play elsewhere. Like, they've looked their worst at places like Auburn and A&M at some points, but they've also looked their best at home against Tennessee and Alabama and some of those games and so on and so forth. So, and it's hard to quantify that or, like, you know, put a value on that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of difficult, but they hit the ball better at home. They pitch the ball better at times at home. Overall, just better when they're playing in BR, and that's where this series is. So I think that's worth something.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely concerned because even when they have won some of their games at home on Friday and stuff like that, it's taken some heroic kind of things that you just don't often see. It seems like you see them more often than not here, but you know, you can't predict a 6-run ninth inning rally,
right. Yeah.
Things like that. But they have the capacity to do that at any time. So we'll see. They didn't get a midweek game. Arkansas did get a midweek game, and I think it would have been good for some of the hitters and the pitchers to have an opportunity to, you know, throw, hit, build some confidence against Grambling and whatnot. That may not hurt them, though. Maybe they needed the extra rest time and more time in the cages and stuff like that. We'll see. Again, hard thing to quantify there as well. So.
Definitely. I mean, and they're going to be playing in front of it's
going to be awesome.
A raucous crowd. It's going to be packed all 3 days. I mean, I think preseason there were probably 2 series that were circled going into the year at home, and it was Tennessee and Arkansas. And you saw Tennessee as a record-breaking weekend when it came to attendance and what that looked like. I mean, it's 2 a.m. in the morning, and that place is still on full tilt.
You would have thought that'd be the biggest of the two, but I think Arkansas is actually going to be the maybe not the more important, but like, I don't know. I mean,
this Arkansas team is very well could be in the discussion of it's the best team in the country.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they were number 2, and they went out or whatever they were ranked. They went out and walloped number 1 last weekend and swept Texas. It's going to be a big time series in Baton Rouge once again. All eyes on it. The stands are going to be packed, and the best part is you're not going to have to worry about any homer announcers on the television call. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you because it is hard for me to shake what I've seen offensively from LSU in some of these home series and the potential I know they have if they string it together. Do you expect Jay to go back to the lineup that was kind of where he was before some of the struggles? Like the lineup that you saw consistently throughout the year where it's Curiel, Jones, Dickinson, you know, and then kind of fill it out there and up until Hernandez, Braswell, and Stanfield at the bottom. Do you expect him to go back to kind of that lineup or continue kind of the tinkering that he got into last weekend?
I think he should do that because that's when they've looked their best, and I think that's where guys, for the most part, are more comfortable. Maybe there's a few things in there you could change, but I think Curiel has to be a leadoff guy. Like, he's been that dude basically all year. I think that's the spot that best fits his skill set, and he looks the most comfortable in. Maybe you can move Jones back slightly. I mean, they've kind of rotated in between the 2, the 3, and the 4 spot the entire year. So I would expect him to go back to what it's been. He probably had a reason for changing it besides, I just want to try something new. Like, there's probably some kind of a matchup thing or a foreshadowing thing that he was trying to accomplish that didn't really come to fruition.
Yeah, he's a lot smarter than we are
when
it comes to that.
But I would expect it to kind of go back to the normal lineup, and then you're not dealing with 3 lefties, so you'll be able to kind of platoon guys the way you've liked to this year between Pearson and Brown and Ethan Fry, which will open things up and gives them more opportunities. You don't have to wait until the guys are coming in out of the bullpen to use your righties or lefties in some situations. So, yeah, I think it'll be more of what we've seen all year, and I'm not really expecting any changes besides that. Yeah. I think keep Hernandez in there, absolutely.
Yes.
I know that they subbed him out during the Sunday game, but I think he's got to be in the lineup right now. He's seeing it well. His average has gone up substantially over the past couple weeks. He's now, I think, probably their fourth best hitter, if my photographic memory serves, average-wise, and almost at 2 home runs against A&M on the Sunday games. So he's kind of an X-factor. He's been the X-factor, really, for this team all year. When he's swinging it well, usually good things are happening. So you hope that comes back in this series as well. But my 2 guys to look out for definitely are Milam and Jake Brown, as I said before.
I like that. And I think Hernandez, when you kind of really dissect this roster, this lineup, I mean, he was a guy they went out and got because they didn't know if Jared Jones was coming back.
Yeah.
You know, because Jones was somebody that everyone thought was going to be drafted last season. He ends up coming back, but you still have Hernandez in the lineup. I mean, he hit 23 homers last year, and he's a guy that is a really good hitter when he's at the plate. A massive, massive X factor. And I think that, like you said, some of these guys that have the SEC experience that played so well down the stretch last year, like a Brown and a Milam, a Braswell, these guys that hit so well down the stretch for LSU, they can hit that same stride this season that they did last year. It could really turn kind of the narrative flip really at the drop of a dime. Like it could be.
Now's the time.
Yeah, it could be. We have so much concern sitting here on Thursday, May 8th, ahead of this Arkansas series. When we sit down, next week on a Monday, it could be a lot like we were the Tennessee weekend, where you just dropped a midweek game. You have all the concern in the world, and then you take care of business against one of the best teams in the country, and you're world beaters. This the highs and lows of baseball. Weather does appear to be a factor this weekend.
You don't say.
As it seems that happens almost every weekend at this point for LSU baseball. Very rarely have we gone into a weekend and said, oh, it looks like it's going to be clear skies, no concerns.
Is it Jay or is it Louisiana or is it both?
I think it's Louisiana.
I think it's both.
You think both? You think Jay brings the weather?
I think we worry about the weather more because of Jay.
Probably. Yeah. He does bring it to attention a little bit more.
He never had to deal with this out west, I bet. He probably had, you could probably count on one hand the amount of games he had rained out.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, from what I'm looking at on my Apple weather app, 75% of rain tomorrow, 55 Saturday, 55 Sunday, as it was obviously supposed to be a rainy week. Hopefully that is not something that comes into play.
Is LSU one of the worst places to be a head coach at for Jay Johnson? Or would that be Oregon?
Well, it's better than, like Michigan, because you got to deal with snow.
Yeah, I mean, you're not having
and I mean 5 degrees.
Especially the start of baseball season when it's freezing cold outside, and Michigan's probably scheduling all their games against Florida teams and Southern teams.
Jay would be recruiting guys from that area though, so it wouldn't be. He wouldn't be used to it, but the guys he's recruiting would be used to it.
Yeah, and I mean, and you think about, he's used to the guys he's recruiting now are used to the weather here.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just this is as much as we love the state of Louisiana. The weather is something that we have to address all the time.
I think Oregon would be the worst one, or Oregon State. Oregon State's more realistic. Yeah. Oregon State would be bad.
The weather is. I can't. I don't know. The chat can help me out. When the last time we had a season that had this many?
I feel like I've heard that a lot since I've been down here, so maybe I'm the problem.
Maybe, because I can't. I don't. I mean, I know in 2023, the Kentucky Super Regional weekend, there was some rain delays. There's obviously been many sprinkled days. I just feel like this
year. We
had
like 0 last year.
I feel like this season it's been every weekend.
23 in the regional, they had one as well, I think. No, maybe not.
I think it was the Super against Kentucky.
Yeah, and they also had one away, though, against South Carolina.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time it was this many. Because, like the Oklahoma weekend in Oklahoma, the weather was bad. Was it Mississippi State at home?
Yep.
The weather was bad. Tennessee, you had the rain delay. This weekend, once again,
I feel like Alabama, we had one.
Alabama like it feels like every single weekend.
Midweeks we've had some issues
Yeah,
with.
I mean, had the Nichols deal early in the year.
Northwestern State. Hopefully we're getting all the rain out of the way now so we don't have any hurricane issues.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the hope.
Yeah. Even during high school football season, though, we had rain like most Fridays, bro.
I mean,
I did so many live shots in the pouring rain.
Yes.
And may or may not have broken a camera or two.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's a
process.
It is the weather here it's unlike anything else, and so hopefully it doesn't come into play this weekend, because the last thing you want to happen is, Jay does very good at having his finger on the pulse of the weather and not allowing that game to start if there's going to be a delay and Cade Anderson's going to have to not be able to come. Because I remember that South Carolina series you're talking about. Skeens goes on the mound, rain delay. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if he went back out.
No, he didn't.
And so I think it was that. I think it was that game.
You might have to get creative this weekend and move a pitch time up. I think it's 5:30 on Saturday and 3 on Sunday. Like you might have to move that up to a noon, a 1 p.m. and then a 2 p.m. on Saturday or something like that. I think fans would rather that than midnight.
Yeah, of course. I'm all for bumping it up rather than.
Because you got to get
these
games in. I don't think they want to fool around with any of the nonsense.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Maybe it gives them an advantage.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out last time. I mean, it'll be 6:30 p.m. tomorrow night, 5:30 Saturday, 3 p.m. on Sunday. Yeah. You very well could see those things bumped up, moved around.
While we're at it, may as well just move the game to Asheville.
I mean, that would work out well for you. But yeah, I mean, hopefully that weather does not come into play, because it should be a really special weekend. I put out that video of the Arkansas coach kind of talking to the team. And I think that was from last week prior to the Texas game. But
still applies.
I'm pretty sure he's probably got a similar mindset going into this weekend.
What's that thing they did whenever they got up?
Well, they did like a woo pig kind of thing. I mean, Arkansas.
Very A&M-y.
Yeah, not too, but see, I'm all for. I like the woo pig. Like, I'm not an Arkansas fan, but woo pig I do think is cool.
Christian does too. He eats bacon every day.
Yeah, every single day. Like it to me, as obnoxious as it can be, it's something that you're cutting.
Thick cut. Bacon.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I wonder if anyone's going to be like roasting any hog. Is that what you say?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
this weekend or something.
Mic'd up tailgate might be doing that.
Maybe. You never know. I mean. You should be make sure you eat some bacon tomorrow morning to get ready for LSU versus Arkansas this weekend. So
something interesting for y'all.
Oh,
you gonna say something?
Yeah. Or you?
I have a little thing I found on Twitter.
Here we go.
What you got?
I got something when you're done.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Christian first.
I'll wait in line.
Look at this. We can talk about this later.
Like the third base basket.
Just put it on our brain. What is this? Electric college football players of all time.
Look how bad this list is. We're not even going to shout out the Twitter account who made this, because this is one of the worst lists I've ever seen released on Twitter.
LSU is
we weren't alive to see a lot of these, so that's in the top 10 at least.
The top 10 itself is horrendous.
You think so?
Yeah. And Cam Newton at 5. Are we serious?
Yeah, I mean,
Cam's 1.
Cam and Reggie should be 1 and 2. I mean, obviously Barry Sanders.
I'd say Menzel
should be high because
top 3.
I think Tavon Austin's good.
Yeah,
where he is.
I mean, there is a good bit of LSU sprinkled throughout this list. I mean,
we have Justin Jefferson at 27.
McKinstry in the top 100. He seemed kind of mid to me.
Yeah, I don't think he should be as high as he is.
Talking names, definitely.
Jaden Daniels at 84, I think, is entirely too low.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Patrick Peterson at 66.
I would say Justin Jefferson above Honey Badger, Burrow,
Honey
Chase.
Badger should be the highest.
That makes no sense.
LSU player on the list, and there's no way he should be outside of the top 15, in my opinion.
No offense to Jay Jettas, but if we're making a real top 100 most electric college football players of all time, I don't think he makes a cut.
Really?
No. I think Jamar makes a cut.
I do think the top 3 for LSU should be Tyron, Joe,
Jaden,
and then Pat Pete should be right there with Jamar. Maybe
shit. Billy Cannon could go on there.
Look, Odell Beckham at the bottom of that list as well. I mean, there's a lot of LSU flavor on this list. I just think they're kind of out of order a little bit.
Why is Drew Lock on this list?
That's Drew what I'm saying. Like they've got guys on here with like one celebration and like a couple
you got
cool
your
videos.
Michigan guy in there though,
and
and rightfully so.
Like, why is Chuba Hubbard
Charles
on
Woodson
here?
at 20?
Yeah.
Why is Chuba Hubbard on here?
Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba?
Fantasy
Yeah,
legend.
I mean, you never know where this guy, where at Front Porch Sports is located.
Michael Thomas is on the list? That makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't think he should be up there.
Like, this list sucks.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Michael Thomas is ahead of Jaden Daniels.
but this is the
so
thing.
is Michael Penix.
This is an extremely tough list to make, but
this is bad. This is falling
I
off.
don't think he did a very good job.
Anytime you
so.
see these kinds of lists,
Yeah.
they're just garbage, honestly.
Yeah, this filter.
This format.
Yeah.
You just know it's going to be
I mean,
bad.
we got D.D. Westbrook ahead of
Yeah.
a lot of guys.
I mean, Joe Burrow, Pat Pete in the 60s, and Jaden Daniels in the 80s.
Max Duggan at 39, the guy
Are you
that
serious?
lost to Natty by 50 points.
Oh,
Kenny Pickett's
you
higher
have
than
Max
Jaden
Duggan
Daniels.
ahead of Joe Burrow? Whoa, timeout. Kyron Lacey's at 64.
What?
Ahead of Patrick Peterson? Yeah, I love Kyron Lacey. This list is all over the place.
George Pickens is
I
at
can't
34.
believe Max Duggan's at 39, ahead of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Patrick Peterson, Jaden Daniel. I mean,
Got OJ at 14.
OJ debatably could be one on the list, as electrifying as it gets. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, he's electric.
Like, just think of the guys.
Top 100 most dangerous college football players. OJ's probably number one.
No, there's no room for him. The entire Georgia football roster.
Yeah, Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Nitro
I think Terrell Suggs did a podcast the other day, and he was talking about when he played against Aaron Hernandez when he was on the Patriots, and he was like, I used to talk trash to this guy. I mean, he'd look at me and said, say he would kill me. He's like, and then, a couple years later, I realized he actually meant it.
Maybe so.
I couldn't imagine. But what was your point?
I was just going to – it's a crazy transition here. I'm not that impressed by Arkansas's bullpen.
Really?
Not really. No, I mean, I wrote down their top three guys that I could gather. Aiden Jimenez, 30 innings, 22 hits. He's probably their best. 31 Ks to 4 walks, 1.76 ERA. But obviously you need more than one good bullpen guy to win a series. Behind
especially
that,
this weekend.
The two other guys, this guy Gabe Gackel. I wrote down pronunciations for all these hard names. I didn't write one down for that one. He's allowed only 1 earned run in relief, but that's only in 3 relief appearances because he was the guy that started all those games when Gage Wood was out with the shoulder injury. So now they've kind of moved him back into the pen, kind of like a Chase Shores situation, the former starter in the bullpen. But 15 Ks, 7 walks. That's a pretty high number in 12 innings. And, so I'm not that impressed with what he's done out of the bullpen just yet. Then this other guy, Dylan Carter's gone, 30 1/3, 21 hits, 2.37 ERA, 33 strikeouts, but 10 walks, 8 earned runs. So I wouldn't say it's anybody's shutdown. You see these guys for 1 inning, they might give you a tough time, but if you can get them for 2 or 3, or you make Arkansas shuffle down deeper into the bullpen, I feel like you can get after these guys. Like if you were to write down LSU's top 3 bullpen arms, you can include Evans in that. It looks a lot more menacing numbers-wise, and if you watch the film, than what I feel like Arkansas has out of the bullpen. So that might be a key there. It might be a case where you split the first 2 games, and then game 3, you hope you have the pitching advantage like you did last week.
Yeah.
That could quickly change if your pitch counts darn near 30 or 40 after 1 inning. But that might be your approach, is to play for Sunday again and hope the bats come along.
One little nugget to ask you. No midweek game this week, and it was one that we kind of had circled on a topic that you've been on kind of from the jump in this Devin Sheeran discussion and where he fits in.
Yeah.
That was a game you expected, and kind of really almost everybody thought he was going to get the opportunity to go out there. Do you see him getting a nod this weekend, or is it just too high leverage to work him out there?
I don't think this weekend, unless it's maybe you're, God forbid, you're down 8-1, and I think against Tennessee, he put out Grant Fontenot and some other guys we haven't seen in a long time, Chandler Dorsey, in some months. So maybe there's an opportunity there, but you want to give the innings to the guys that have been pitching for you this year. Like you'd probably rather give the innings to Fontenot than Sheeran, because you've seen Fontenot at least this year and you kind of know what he's got. I think maybe it's South Carolina if you go there and you play like Florida did when you're up 22-3 kind of thing. And this is no knock at Sheeran as if to say he needs a 19-run lead to get in the game. But, like, you just don't know what he's going to look like.
You want him to be comfortable.
So, yeah, I mean, the game's got to be out of reach either one way or the other, I think. I want to ask Jay that because we have media availability at 11 today. Awesome. Hopefully he doesn't get annoyed with us. Because, I feel like we ask him some of the same questions over and over again. But we're interested. Fans are interested.
Right.
That's one of the number one things I'm getting in replies is, what's up with Sheeran? Can he go? This and that. It's the same thing with Guidry when that situation was unfolding. Goodness. So maybe he'll have an answer. Probably not. But I think it's worth asking. Because, I think that was the last opportunity to really get him in.
That's what really raises the question of where now.
Because everything from here on is
SEC weekend,
high leverage games.
SEC weekend, SEC tournament,
so
postseason.
I don't know if there's going to be an opportunity to get him out there because after this weekend, besides South Carolina in some respects, and that even is an important weekend in terms of locking up your top 8 seed.
Yeah,
every inning is super important. Every game is must win. Like, seriously, I know they say that all the time, but, like, seriously, must win.
That's where you're at now.
So you can't be throwing guys out there that haven't thrown an entire pitch the whole year, or not an entire pitch, a pitch the entire year.
Yeah.
So probably not, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you never know.
I didn't expect to see Fontenot against Tennessee.
Right, right. Yeah, you truly never know with the way baseball can work.
And if Jay kind of does the bullpen like he did last weekend, where he's going one guy for one batter and in rotating things.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe he'll test it out. Yeah. Not in a big moment, but it might get to that point at some point where you don't have anybody.
Well, matchup stuff.
Yeah.
Last one on the weekend, put you on the spot. Prediction. What are you predicting to happen? Christian had his prediction. What was yours, Christian? I know it's going to be released on rally time, so I don't want to completely spoil it. But what's your
Don't laugh. Don't laugh.
I'm laughing at you laughing.
I know. Lose.
You got to go watch it to see
Friday, Sunday. Lose Friday, Sunday.
You've got LSU getting Saturday, and
honestly, I'm changing my prediction. They're getting swept.
You think so?
Wow.
Yeah. You've got LSU getting swept this
and
weekend.
I say that too because partly my predictions have been way off. I got 2 weeks ago. I got it perfectly right, but last week I said LSU sweep.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of trying to, not going to say that, but trying to reverse psychology.
Every game was winnable last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you weren't far off.
So you're trying to reverse psychology it right now.
Yeah. Well, and I thought LSU's bats were hot, man.
Yeah, coming off Game 3 against Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then, who was it, Southeastern? They were kind of getting a rhythm, and then they just didn't travel on the road. Maybe they can pick it back up this weekend. So you're going sweep.
Arkansas sweep.
Arkansas sweep, right. Okay. I'm going to tell mine tomorrow.
Okay.
But
what? I'll share mine on next Monday.
after the weekend's over. I'll go ahead and give mine just to make sure we're all even here.
Yes.
Everyone getting the respect that they need. I think, really, truly, if I'm going to dissect it, so much comes down to tomorrow night. I think if they win tomorrow night, they have a chance to win the series. If they lose tomorrow night, I think they lose the weekend. And I know that's kind of cliche because it's game 1, but I truly think that's how it's going to go down, where if they can put themselves in a position to take one of two and get in a rhythm offensively, if they get in a rhythm offensively tomorrow night, they're good for the weekend, I think. But my prediction would be that they lose the series this weekend. They do steal a game, I believe. Probably Einstein on Saturday would be my guess.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I'm trying to break away from the potential of the lineup and kind of weigh more of the balance of what I've seen. And what I've seen is a lineup that has struggled. And if that lineup has struggled against an Arkansas lineup that's playing very good baseball right now and coming in off of a really big weekend, I think LSU, my prediction, unbiased, would be they go 1 out of 3 this weekend against Arkansas.
What game?
I said Saturday.
Okay.
Einstein on Saturday.
Okay, so me, you, and Justin are all lined up.
Yep. That would be my, I think.
Well,
because I truly think if they win game 1, like if they were to go and win tomorrow night, I think they would end up winning the series.
That's how it's been all year. I don't think they've lost a Friday game and won a series.
Yeah.
Right? Like
yeah.
I'm really racking my
brain
brain
the probabilities.
thinking about it.
Lost Friday, win series?
Yeah. I don't think it's happened all year. Right?
No, not from what I can remember.
They lost Saturday against Tennessee. They lost Sunday against Bama at home. So those are the 2 home losses.
They won Texas Friday, then lost that series.
Yeah. That's the...
Yes.
But that's not what you said.
Wait, what did I say?
I think you said
lose. You said lose Friday.
Lose Friday, win the series. Yes. Okay. So
I don't
Texas,
think they've done that.
At Oklahoma, they won all 3.
Yep.
They lost Friday at Auburn.
And got swept.
What am I forgetting?
Yeah, I mean.
So I don't think it's
Texas A&M. The one game they won that one was kind of thrown off. You played a doubleheader.
Started a little poll here. Asked the chat who's
what they
going to win
got.
the series.
I'm going to go with what the chat.
67 LSU, yes. To
wow,
win.
67% believes that LSU wins.
It's not over yet.
Hey, they definitely can.
18 votes.
I agree.
That's a pretty good number of votes.
Matthew Conkle, Anderson shoves. LSU wins Friday night 6-3. Take it to the frickin' bank.
They could.
I
think Anderson's better than Root on paper, personally.
I agree. I just think right now the Arkansas lineup is kind of.
But you wonder, do they get affected by playing on the road?
Yeah.
Because before the Texas series, they had lost, I think, 3 straight series, if I'm not mistaken. So it's hard, man. It's difficult. This is a hard.
There's so
decision,
many
man.
factors in this sport.
Yeah.
That weigh into things rather than like basketball.
And some of them you just can't, like we talked about before, you can't forecast.
Yeah.
Like for whatever reason, guys just feel more comfortable at home. There's no statistic in TrackMan or whatever about comfortability at home.
Right,
We'll probably get there in 10 years, but
at some point
we'll take a poll when they get to the stadium for home games. How you feeling 1 to 10? I think the responsible thing to do is to take Arkansas 2 out of 3, like you said. But I would hear out a conversation for LSU taking 2 out of 3.
I agree.
Obviously, I got to pick one. I'll probably go Arkansas taking the 2 out of 3 because the way I see it, you probably split the first 2, and then Arkansas has just got more pop coming into this offensively for the Sunday. It'll probably be an offensive game,
Yeah.
And they'll make it hard on Evans if he's even available, or whoever is pitching that game. And that's usually how it's been on Sundays. Is you're going to need the team with the better offense will win that game because the pitching's not as good.
Yes.
And Arkansas has the better offense right now. So as much as I want to sit here and buy into LSU, like we all have a lot this year. Right now, it's just not the responsible thing to pick them. But sometimes you got to make irresponsible decisions, calculated irresponsible decisions, and it works out well for you.
And for any LSU players that are tuning in, we believe in you. We do. As much as we're taking the responsible route, I do think LSU, like we've said, has the ability, without a doubt, to put their offense up with anybody in the country.
When it's clicking.
Yes. They have the lineup to do so.
And things can change like that.
Yeah. When you really break it down, I mean, when you go Curiel, one of the best in the country, Bear Jones, one of the best in the country, Dickinson, who's swinging it well.
Mm-hmm.
You really go down. Josh Pearson, I'll trust him. He could do open heart surgery on me. I would trust him. You really break down the lineup. Stanfield, one of the best probably the best 9-hole hitter in the country, turning the lineup over.
I think so.
Hernandez has the ability to get hot. Braswell's hitting well in SEC play. When you really dissect it, but it's all about, Fonz makes a point, baseball is a rhythm game. Arkansas is clicking. LSU's not. LSU's not winning this weekend. I'll listen to that.
Well, you could have made that case last week, though. I mean, LSU was clicking going into College Station.
A&M was coming off of getting swept.
Sometimes you just hit a wall.
Yep, and I agree. Baseball is a rhythm game. If LSU can put it together, because they've swung the bat well in spots. The problem against A&M was they didn't string it together.
Right.
They didn't put together at-bats. They were getting on base with 2 out. I mean, Josh Pearson in the first inning, a 2-out double. You would love to see a 2-out double and then a single, he gets to third.
Even a walk before the double.
Yeah, even something like that. If you were able to get a 1-out double and he gets to third with 1 out, you can get a sacrifice fly.
That'll be important too.
He gets on second base, sack, bunt, get him a third. Your options are open, but they were getting on base with 2 outs.
Exactly, like the whole series, and that was the difference. And it's hard to come up clutch more often than not when there's 2 away, and things change. Instead of putting the ball in play,
right?
You're thinking about threading the needle. Like with 1 out, and you got guys on, you get sack, fly, you get advance the runners. Your options are limited. So, getting on base quickly and leading off well. But they didn't do that very well at A&M. So,
not at all.
Yeah.
So it'll be a big weekend. Hopefully the umpiring is better than last weekend. That ended
you
up
can't
being
control that either.
Yeah, that ended up being a huge storyline after last weekend because it was more than just LSU A&M. It was like a SEC problem overall. Like I saw it all over my feed. Was just people being upset about the umpiring.
That's the algorithm. Since you tweeted about it, they just
once you
fired
put
it
it
right
out,
at you.
it's all you see.
Yeah. It's like when
so-
you're hungry and TikTok keeps pulling up
It's the worst.
food reviews.
Laying in bed at night,
Yeah.
and I open up YouTube to go to sleep, and it's like Gordon Ramsay, Hell's Kitchen, and I'm like, well, now I got to go make a plate.
Exactly.
And how am I going to lose weight if I do that, huh, Christian?
Tough life.
I'm trying to cut like you.
Christian's not cutting. He's putting 20 pounds in his body.
I did accidentally cut yesterday. It was like
yeah?
a one-day cut. I wasn't mic'd up. My stomach was growling the whole time.
After you got those flowers, how about the flower boy over there?
Yeah, how about that?
Put that out.
She
on
liked
Twitter.
them.
Of course, I hope so.
They were a nice
Oh,
color.
those were given to you?
Oh, no, I got those. We went to Rouse's and picked those puppies out. It took me like 10 minutes to find
Oh,
the
so
flowers.
you got them
but
for her.
Yeah,
I didn't realize the flowers were in the front of the store. That was pretty embarrassing.
this is
I
embarrassing.
was like, wow, what if someone was with me right now?
Yeah, you shouldn't have said that on air. Now everybody's
Yeah.
gonna laugh at you.
I walked right past
Look at
them.
you. You're such a sweetheart. You're a little romantic over there.
Well, the reason why is because usually I'm looking at like the desserts right when you walk in.
Of course.
So of course I'm gonna do that. But I mean the flower, like the
They're
desserts
right there.
are here.
They're right
and
there.
The flowers are
They're right there.
staring at me.
Yeah, I
Staring
know
at me,
exactly
so.
the Rouses you're referring to, and
Oh
I know
yeah,
exactly,
I mean you can see it in the background.
I
The
know
wings up in the
exactly where
background.
the flowers are. Were those just those were just flowers, just cuz flowers?
Yeah, pretty much. I
Look at
hadn't
you.
done it before,
Yeah.
so kind of need to
You're
check
a
that
little
off before
sweetheart.
we go home. You know.
He's in deep now.
He is. I mean, he is cooked, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We caught
cooked.
feelings, boys.
Sabrion asked you a question in the chat. I'm not asking that question.
Christian,
You probably shouldn't answer that question.
What's the...
What could get it out of me? Not you, Sabrion.
Sabrion says, Christian, she let you get some after you brung her flowers?
Get some flowers
Yeah.
as well, yeah.
She gave you flowers also.
Yeah. That's what you do. You got to give flowers, you get flowers back.
Look at this guy.
Make a
Lord have
garden.
mercy. Make sure, hopefully she tunes in.
Get flowers from
This
Costco or
morning.
Trader Joe's. They're cheaper and look good. Trader Joe's and Baton Rouge are always picked over, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of other mingle segments going on there. So Rouse's was the move.
There you go. Get that. You got that athletic connection ready?
Probably
not.
I can pull it up.
Yeah, make it happen.
Well,
Get there
I had
quicker.
that list ready to go. So
Yeah, you were working back there. It's
Yeah.
okay.
That wasn't a list. That was a piece of trash.
Yeah, that was
That was bad.
It was pretty bad. We could probably do an entire show
I also-
dissecting.
Yeah, I also thought Fournette was not on the list. I think Fournette beats a lot
I think
of guys.
Fournette was on that list.
No, he wasn't. Just
At all?
I scanned it. Yeah, wasn't. I think Fournette's probably 2. Honestly, out of LSU players, I think Fournette's 2.
Really?
Yeah.
The second most. I mean, he's
I mean,
definitely
Jacques would
up
probably
there.
agree with that.
I mean, his
Jacques
highlight
could probably
reel
come
is-
up with his own list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, Jacques could. I mean, that man's brain.
I mean, Billy Cannon's on the list too. I know it's
Y.A.
so
Tittle,
old.
Y.A.
It's so
Tittle.
old, but Billy Cannon's punt return.
I don't know how you don't put Y.A. Tittle on that list. I mean, my favorite thing was Gruden was breaking down the LSU gear. We opened up and he goes, DBU, man, guys like Tommy Casanova. I was like, I don't think they were called DBU when Tommy Casanova was here. No disrespect to Casanova, but DBU started when they got guys like Pat Pete.
You wanted to be FBU back in those days.
Oh,
Fullback.
yeah. You want to be fullback university.
WBU.
Shout out Tommy Casanova. I actually living in his
Uh-huh.
condo next year. I think
There
I
you
told
go.
you all that.
You did.
Yeah, we bought it from
Now
him.
everybody's going to know where you live.
No, because I'm not putting that out there.
No, I mean, if they know where
it'll
Tommy
get leaked.
Casanova's
That is true.
condo is. Everybody do your research. Figure it out. Find where Christian lives. So
Sometimes when we're in the
Come
press
say hi.
box hanging out, Bryce Kuhn will try to find our addresses.
That's awesome.
He would just, like, Glenn West address. He'll just look it up, and Glenn's sitting right next to it. He's such a clown.
That's so funny.
Glenn West lives near me too.
Yeah,
actually.
Christian
Really?
saw Glenn walking. Well, he was walking his dog.
Yeah, he was walking his dog, and I look
Yeah.
over to my right because I was stopping by.
he's
the
hard
old
to
condo,
miss.
And I'm like, holy shit, that guy's tall. And he turns around, and it's Glenn
Big
West.
Glenn. I tell you what, Glenn's been in his bag the last. He came on the show this Tuesday and last Tuesday. I don't know what it was that got into him last Tuesday. He was like preaching, like he was in his bag breaking down LSU football.
He's like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of times, to be transparent. I'll be in here. We'll do an interview. there are times that I can kind of zone out when people will, on the screen will kind of go long in depth. When Glenn was going deep into his beautiful brain talking LSU football, I was like locked in, like as a viewer, like it was beyond entertaining. So
does great work.
He does over at 247, as do you. WAFB 9, John Eads once again. I tell you what, I have so much respect for you coming in with the notes, the sheet every week.
Well, I mean,
it's the best.
I want to know what I'm talking about.
It's the best.
You guys are calling me in to.
I love it.
You call me in from the bullpen to throw strikes.
No, I love it.
No,
you're prepared.
Trying to paint corners.
You are beyond. It is very reassuring when you walk in, and I know that you're prepared like that. It's awesome. So that's why we have you in so often, because you do a really good job. So
it's not for my short shorts.
No, it's not. But I mean, that is a plus.
Depends on who you ask.
Alrighty.
All right, let's see it.
Buck, Aikman.
Moon. Come on, find the next one.
Staubach.
There's a tough one because Romo's right there, buddy.
Yeah, this is like quarterbacks.
So let's
good
just
quarterbacks.
Go hit Romo. Go ahead and hit Romo. Try that one.
It's got to be Cowboy quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we've got
Air Bud.
Air Bud is fire.
It's a great movie.
Great film.
Did y'all ever watch Little Buddies or what was that? Puppy Buddies?
Nah, we was big dogs growing up.
Yeah.
It was all like the little golden retrievers or like
okay,
puppies.
here we go. Shuttlesworth, Moon, Chitwood, and Air Bud. I don't know if Air Bud's actually it, but these are all basketball movies. Yep. Come on. Jimmy Chitwood, Jackie Moon, Jesus Shuttlesworth, legend.
Wisconsin
Badger,
teams.
Packer.
Yep.
Buck
Brewer.
Yeah.
And Buck. There we go. Wisconsin.
Woo!
There we go. Crowd, supporters, spectators, fans. That's pretty easy.
Patrons.
Good one. Let's see. I think we got a question in the chat here. Brandon Hollyworth question, why are y'all creating a whole new channel instead of just changing the name of this one? There were just some things that didn't line up. What was an alignment, the word Brian Kelly used a lot when he got here.
In terms of alignment?
In terms of alignment.
Relative to
yes,
alignment.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
There were a lot of things that just didn't work relative to alignment for that to happen. So we are creating an entirely new channel and moving everything over there. It just didn't align for us to rebrand this channel. And so for us to move forward and do what we felt was the right step, the next step of rebranding, having our own name, our own deal, the only way for us to truly do that was to create a new channel. So we appreciate you guys' support for hanging out with us today. John, once again, thank you for coming in and all your insight.
I didn't know you were this big celebrity.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was...
I was like, oh, this is cool.
I was in no way a celebrity, but it was funny. I mean, to give you just kind of the lowdown, it was one day. It was like the first day of school. When I was a senior in high school, I don't know if they still do this at Central, but we got, as you only took the credits you needed. So, like, I had 3 hours of class in the morning.
Dang.
So, like, I just took 3 classes out of school. I mean, I had to go back for practice or whatever, but done with school. And so I would be home chilling all day. And one day I put on like a little tank top, jean shorts, pulled my socks up, put some old New Balance on. I just looked like a dad. I went out there and I waved the hand to get Max off the bus. And it was me and my sister, and we thought it was funny. And then after that, I started throwing things together that were in the house. And then it just kind of, like, my mom posted on her Facebook. People liked it. She made a Facebook page. And when she did that, WAFB is actually the first channel that picked it up. They did a segment.
Good on us.
Yeah, they did a segment on it that next morning. And then WBRZ ended up wanting to one-up WAFB, came and did a package at the house that they ran on the night news. When it's so funny how this goes. WAFB saw that, had us in studio like the next week in the morning. But after WBRZ did it, that next morning I woke up and Good Morning America had it, HLN, it was all over the place. It was the weirdest thing that ever started.
That's awesome. It's a fun story.
It was
hilarious.
It was funny. It was the oddest 2 months of my life. from 100%. But funny enough, it's able, when I look back, it's now something that I'm able to turn into a benefit as Tingle & Co. are getting running. So we appreciate you guys subscribing. I'll check the account as they kind of went on a run before we took a break. We're at 9,027 now. So we've gone up almost 50, I think, in the last hour. So appreciate you guys. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 to 9. Maybe not 9, as Christian's got to get out here a little bit early. Supposed to be no show. Since we missed yesterday, we're going to do something special for you boys and girls that are tuning in. We'll be back then. Love you.
Peace.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow to all the Tingle & Co. Pages and channels. Appreciate you guys' support.
But we can never put on the same shoes. I've been giving L's like I know love and I can't lose. For myself, man, I can't lose. For my family, man, I can't lose. I grind hard and I can't lose. I'm stacking days, man, I can't lose. Big step, but we can never put on the same shoes. I've been giving L's like I know love and I can't lose. For myself, man, I can't lose. For my family, man, I can't lose. I grind hard, man, I can't lose. I'm stacking days, man, I can't lose. Business is business. Yeah, I grind for the check. Line up with me, you gon' see how different when I step up on the opponent's necks. Line up with me, you gon' see how different how I'm earning all of my respect. Line up with me, you gon' see how different how I run the game, but don't stretch. My hitters stay with me, give them nothing, we putting up 60. We got power, you better call 50. Better chill like I reached like Wimby. It's not rocket science, shit you gotta know. We put them down like some dominoes. Wake up early, put the time in. Now I'm watching a Culotta show. Trying to send help when I come around, dog, it ain't working. Trying to just play, trying to stop me, dog, it ain't working. I handle business while your lanes chirping. Who on my level, man, I'm still searching. I'm in their heads like a neurosurgeon. I'm everywhere like I'm Harold Perkins. Let's see. Step, but we can never put on the same shoes. I've been giving L's like I know love and I can't lose. For myself, man, I can't lose. For my family, man, I can't lose. I grind hard and I can't lose. I'm stacking days, man, I can't lose. Big step, but we can never put on the same shoes. I've been giving L's like I know love and I can't lose. For myself, man, I can't lose. For my family, man, I can't lose. I grind hard, man, I can't lose. I'm stacking days, man, I can't lose. Grind all week, now let's get the money. I'm in that mode, yeah, you know I'm coming. Automatic, I'ma bet on me and my team. Twice on Sunday, got it out the mud, so I'm battle testing what it's overtime. Too legit to quit, I'ma move my feet like it's hammer time. We got most of the time to make some moves. All the smoke, we don't pick and choose. I'm here now, I done pay my dues. Can't pour to me, ain't no switching crew. Blood, sweat, and tears, I done put it in this. I know that you hoping